Back we are with another Am I the Asshole? We're your guys, the Coffee Break Podcast. All right, let's dive into this. This one, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be real with you. Just trigger warning.
For who?
I mean, for whoever. Whoever. I'm just sending the trigger warning out there. Whoever wants to grab it in the sky, pull it down and hold it down, that's up to you.
Let's go.
All right. Am I the asshole for divorcing my wife after finding out about her past in a way she never intended me to? That leaves a lot of room for speculation.
Yeah, it depends. I can't give an answer right now.
Okay. I've been married to my wife for 3 years. From the beginning, we talked about values, boundaries, and how seriously we both viewed relationships. She always described her past as fairly low-key and told me she avoided casual dating.
Okay.
A few months ago, while helping her set up an old laptop she wanted to give to her younger cousin, I logged in and found a backup folder she had forgotten about, which contained old group chats, photos, and messages from years before we met. I was not looking for anything. I was just trying to transfer files. And what I saw completely contradicted the version of her past that I had been told.
Ooh.
There were conversations with multiple men at the same time, explicit jokes about situations she's had previously, told me that she would never put herself in, and messages where friends laughed about things she now claims she has always stood against. This was not one or two moments taken out of context. It was a consistent pattern. I didn't confront her immediately. I sat with it for days, weeks. And then when I finally got the courage to bring it up, she admitted it. And she said it was all real and she never told me because she knew it would change how I viewed her. She said she's grown out of this lifestyle and that is her past. And that shouldn't matter to me because I chose her for the version she is today. For me, this issue isn't about her past behavior. It's that I built a marriage on what I believed were shared values and honesty. And finding this out made me feel like the truth was deliberately hidden, not forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked for a divorce. Some people say I violated her privacy and went digging, even if unintentionally, and that I am punishing her for something that happened years before me. Other people, like my family, are saying that it's impossible to build trust on a marriage when the trust has been broken already. So, am I the asshole for proceeding with this divorce after finding out the truth about my wife?
I feel conflicted.
How so?
I feel conflicted. It's because, in one hand, I don't see a reason why I should judge somebody for a past. Everybody goes through stuff in the past and they grow from it, even though it may not be something that you typically don't agree with, but there's a reason why it's in the past, you know? And another thing that I really disagree with is, even though he stumbled upon it, digging for stuff, you know? That's another thing that was kind of a little murky for me. Having said that, the thing that I don't feel comfortable with is the fact that it was a little lie, you know? She was kind of like, I didn't do those stuff. There's a difference between lying and omitting. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So she painted it to be like, I never did those stuff. I'm a clean person. You know, I've never done any of that. I would never do that, and I'm against that. Mm-hmm. But that was a lie, because in actuality, you did do that. So he ran off that information and was like, I want to marry you, you know? Having said that, if he never asked and it was never brought up and he found that information, it's a little different because you were not privy to that.
So you're saying the fact that he didn't do his homework, it's on him? No,
the fact that he didn't ask that ahead of time and, you know, he didn't give him the information. You know what I mean? Mm. So it's more along the lines of there's a difference between lying and omitting. You know what I mean? She lied to him. And there's a past out there that he wasn't comfortable with compared to if she was to admit it and he never even knew the light of day about it. Because sometimes I think, fam, it's like, to play devil's advocate, it's like, how am I judging somebody for a past that I wasn't even there for? You know? And if God can forgive that person, why can't I? You know, like if the greatest of creators and the person above is, and if she's making like whatchamacallit, progress in order to change who she is now, and the version of her is who I fell in love with, how can I look past that and be like, because something you did 15 years ago, I can't be with you now. You know, that's why I'm conflicted. Where it's kind of like I don't know what I would do in the situation, because on one hand I feel lied to, but on the other hand, she's a completely different person than she was back in the day. You know, so I wouldn't know what I would do in this situation. How about you guys?
How did he find the information again?
Well,
Through a hard drive, right?
Yeah, it was. She was gonna give her old laptop to somebody. I think he said her younger cousin. So he was helping her kind of set that up and give the old
So
laptop.
he was moving the information onto the hard drive.
Yeah.
When-
And that's when he found the backup folder.
Okay, so she didn't hide it properly then.
Well, yeah.
So this is information that, whether she was aware or not, was in there or forgot was in there, was in front of him. So I don't know if you guys were setting up as you said he was digging, right?
No, he happened to stumble upon it. He wasn't digging. He happened to stumble on it.
Okay, so then if I'm understanding, just to summarize, if I'm understanding right, she omitted information.
But she lied to him.
She lied to him covered up about.
Yeah.
This is how
I'm
my
a clean
past.
girl. This never happened to me.
She's against what she had her past as.
Yes.
But she didn't tell him this was her past.
Correct.
And then now he came upon this information on a laptop and a hard drive she gave him.
Correct.
And now he wanted a divorce. And what was her side of after that?
It's basically saying that something in the past, why does it matter to you?
Yeah.
Why are you judging me for something I did?
Okay, so this guy's not in the wrong at all then.
How so?
Because if she said a persona for him
Yeah.
in a serious relationship that's either a marriage or not, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
Marriage, yeah, they're getting a divorce.
they're getting a divorce, so they're married. And she set up a persona for him.
Yeah.
And then later on, he got information from a laptop that she gave him, and then said, "Why does it matter?"
Yeah.
She needs to go figure her stuff out. Then
Yeah.
She already did. She
I
already
think-
did figure it out, though.
how do you figure it out if you're lying to somebody, not giving the information, and then when he comes upon the information on his own, and at the same time his emotions are going crazy.
Okay.
His information is going crazy based off information that she gave him, and then information that he found on her property.
What is there to figure out? That's my question. Because if it's something I did 15 years ago when I grew as a person, I've already done all the figuring out for it.
How much growing have you done if you're lying about information to a person that you're married to?
Because she knew that he wouldn't like that version of her.
Regardless.
But that's not who I am right now.
If that's not who you are, then why lie about it?
Because somebody like you would like judge me for a past that I did it back in the day,
I
not
would.
not judging me for the current version I am right now.
I would. Do you know why?
Okay, go ahead.
If you come to peace with who you are and who you were,
Yeah.
then you wouldn't mind telling people that information, especially not people in general,
Yeah.
your husband. You haven't come to peace with who you are, who you were.
But she's probably scared of losing him.
Yeah.
Then that's what comes with. But if you gave this information at the front,
Yeah.
and he chose whether to be in that relationship or not, he's not meant for you. But you kept this information and lied about it, which means you're not okay with your past.
Okay.
Be okay with it because you've been through that. That's a journey you've been through.
I disagree with that.
Go ahead.
The point that you made is she's not okay with her past because she lied about it.
Yes.
I don't necessarily agree with that. She can be okay with it and still lie about it. Because realistically, her sins are between her and God.
They are.
You know? If she so wants to share it with her husband, right? She can. But realistically,
deserve
the
to know?
person, pardon?
Does he deserve to know?
That's a
Especially
question-
if you're
that's a question
looking
for
down
her.
upon that person.
No, but that's for her to know. You know what I mean? That's for her to decide. Because at the end of the day, who needs to forgive me? Is it my husband or is it my creator that I pray to 5 times a day at the bare minimum?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily a matter of forgiveness. It's more a matter about information, right? You don't want to get blindsided. Like, I don't want to wake up one day and then find out my wife was on Girls Gone Wild 99. You know what I mean?
That's
That puts
fair.
me in a position where I'm like, okay, do I even know who I married? You know, it starts to, like you're saying, you start to get, ambushed with information.
Okay.
You know? As opposed to just be open with it up front, and then let's navigate this together, whether I am open to it or whether I'm against this. If I have my line drawn in the sand,
Yeah.
that's my decision. You know what I mean? The fact that our marriage wouldn't have, pursued or we wouldn't have gotten married is not up to you. It's up to both of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's where she kind of lost me in the scenario where she's like, I've already moved on, so it shouldn't be a thing. It's like, no, it's like,
So-
I'll give you another analogy. If I was somebody who had amazing skills amazing, phenomenal skills as a painter, right? Or not even say, let's say it's just something more technical. Let's say tech for say, like I was a great programmer, right? But then I spent 3 years in prison for doing some tech scam or something like that.
Sure.
When I get out, it's my duty to tell my next employer that I spent time in prison, no matter what my skills are.
Good point.
It's my duty to tell them because they can. I'm a liability for them at that point without them knowing. You know what I mean? So
a little different, but I agree with what the situation you're saying. I see your point, but it's a little different though.
That's baggage. It's baggage.
No, because one is you have to inform your employer of what you did because it may cost them whatever reputation risk, financial risk, X, Y, and Z. I get where you're coming from. But when it comes to specific thing that comes to character, especially a relationship with me and my significant other, honestly speaking, fam, and I could be wrong, but I do believe that is a conversation between you and your creator, you know? And you don't necessarily have to include your partner in letting them know. You know what I mean? Because why are you privy to knowledge that I was doing something 20 years ago? You know? Do I see your point? Absolutely.
It's a part of your story, though. At the end of the day, if I'm marrying somebody, I want to know their entire life. I don't want to just know the best parts.
I don't need to tell you everything about my life, though.
As my wife?
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't. You act
that's
like
a
that's
huge
a little
part of your life.
I think that you're acting like it's a little crazy to admit certain aspects of your life. You're not gonna. I don't think it's necessarily normal to tell your significant other everything you've ever did in your life.
But I think it's also
like,
there has to be some level of like maturity in the relationship where you're okay with telling embarrassing or not so pleasant stories about your past.
That's between me and God.
It matters though, clearly.
Especially when he's going to get confronted from it.
They're getting a divorce.
He's going to get what?
He got confronted from the laptop of information that he was lied to about.
That's her laptop though. He digged with something.
He didn't dig if you're asked to do a task. You're transferring information from the laptop.
And then he kept looking.
I just think when you omit...
That's called digging. Because you actually went through the text messages, went through the pictures. You did more than you should have. Do you agree with this? That's
no, I disagree.
What is digging then?
Don't give him a laptop full of information. Delete the stuff you don't want him to see. If this is
Did
something
he not go into the file?
He went into information.
All thousands of pictures and text messages. That's called digging, fam.
That's not digging.
What are you talking about?
But think about it like this. Naturally speaking, if you're just sitting there with a laptop your wife gave you, and then you see a folder called "Do Not Open," or like this is XX past or some shit like that, you're gonna be inclined to click it. And then when you click it and you see what the fuck is going on, you're gonna be like, "What the hell's going on?"
So I don't disagree with that. I was just pointing the point out that you were digging. Am I wrong?
But the intention wasn't to come here and start digging. You just stumbled on something.
It doesn't matter about the intention. It happened.
No, but let's say you're
so
allowed.
You dig. That's the point I'm making.
I didn't take my wife's laptop. She wasn't around to find out information was behind her back. That's digging.
Sure.
But if I'm going to do a task with my wife's involvement,
emptying a laptop,
and I stumble upon something and I go further into it, that's not digging.
What is it called?
That's that you stumbled upon something.
You found something.
I found something.
You guys are getting so technical.
That's because one has a connotation that's negative towards it, and the other one is literally taking the fault out of the person because they stumbled on it. Okay. There's no fault here.
Disagree. But having said that, do you think that you should be privy to everything your significant other did in their past?
Yeah.
And why is that?
Because it matters. In situations like this, I feel like the husband is justified to divorce his wife because he was married. In his mind, he married somebody that doesn't exist,
Disagree.
or a version of somebody that isn't who their whole story is. You don't know the beginning, the roots of this person, who they started as, and where they're headed. You're not part of that journey. You're part of the end.
But you fell in love with the version of the person that is right now.
Yeah, but I want to know how you got to this. That matters.
You should. Honestly speaking, I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying.
Even if it's embarrassing, you have to be vulnerable enough with your spouse to let them know the good and bad about you. It's not just about like, oh, it's up to me and God.
It's ignorance, not a bliss, bro.
But I agree it's up to you and God for the forgiveness aspect. Yeah. But like if you have a past like that, especially like if I'm if for the male's perspective, right? If you have a criminal history, right? and you moved on, right? You become a person of God. You become a person who's righteous, living a righteous life now. You still have a moral obligation to tell your spouse
I think that's a little different.
that you had.
No, I don't
how is
think
that
it's
different?
It's a little different.
How is that different?
Because one is involving her safety. Like I to let you know, I was actually in prison for a little. That involves.
But what if it's
something
not a
that he
violent
did.
person?
Off the example he gave, the text scam.
You're comparing being a murderer
it's not a-
to
what-
being
okay, what if it's not
having
murder?
a past
What if
with
it-
men.
You're going extreme.
I just
He
said
gave an
criminal. I didn't
example.
say violent
But
criminal.
that's kind of the example
No,
you're
it's
giving.
not.
You're saying
You're conflating it to a violent criminal. I'm just saying criminal. It could be something that's non-violent. I
He
still
gave an
have a moral
example.
obligation to tell my spouse that I
it's
was
not the
a criminal
same,
in the
though.
past.
It is not the same because a criminal past is something that needs to be vetted. Because I need to know who I'm going to sleep with at night. Because at the end of the day,
The same thing for a
it's
woman's
not
past
because
too.
no, because I don't think you should be privy to that. So you're telling me you should know the body count of your woman before you
If
marry
she
her?
has 500 bodies, yeah, I need to know that.
But let's say she had 15.
Then I need to know that too.
I don't necessarily think that's your information that you should be privy
If it's
to.
my wife, then I think that that's a responsibility that she should have to tell me or be vulnerable enough to tell me. If we're
I
gonna
don't
get
agree with
married.
that.
Why not?
I don't agree. I think that's information that should be optional. You know?
So you're okay with finding out your wife had 500 bodies?
Interesting.
That marriage
question.
is going to continue?
No. That's the good way to point that. I would want to know. Absolutely.
I think
would
it's
want to know. Having
responsible.
said that,
I think it's responsible to
I would
tell.
understand as to why she wouldn't want to tell me that.
You
know?
don't feel disrespected?
Absolutely, I'll feel disrespected.
But you would understand?
But the thing is, the difference between my feeling towards it is difference between her obligation to provide it. Is her?
so
is
you're saying
that
okay,
information
so
is
let me
not
get this straight.
necessarily?
Let me get this straight.
Go ahead.
You have a right to feel disrespected,
Mm-hmm.
but she has a right to disrespect you?
Ignorance is bliss.
Make that make sense to me. Comments? Tell us.
Ignorance
We
is
need
bliss.
to know.
I
What
don't
does
need
that
to-
mean?
I don't need to know every little detail about your life. You
That's
feel
a
me?
major detail, though.
That's a major detail, fam.
To you, to other people, I don't think that would be a big detail. There's other people who have an active sex life. Okay, can we agree on that?
Mm-hmm.
Who have a lot of people that they've been with sexually. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna judge you for something you did when you were.
It's not about judging.
not about judging.
It's just
No, no,
about
no.
knowing. It's
No.
just about knowing.
Because the reason why she's not telling me is fear of judgment. Having
Then
said
be-
that, so
be
that's
responsible
why I
enough to be
pointed my
mature.
statement as such. So my thing is, me knowing that, I understand why she wouldn't want to share that with me. But at the end of the day, the version of her that I fell in love with, is she great for me? Is she incredible? Is she everything I ever wanted?
Yeah.
Okay, then I don't see a need for me to know that. Don't tell me, bro.
Don't tell me it's crazy. Tell me, and I'll deal with how the information.
Don't tell
is.
me. I'd rather live in an ignorance of bliss situation and know that I found
But
the
you
perfect
don't
girl
want your
for her.
wife to have 500 bodies.
Don't tell me.
So you don't care?
No, I would care if I knew.
No, if you, I'm saying like if your wife has or doesn't, you don't care to know.
If that's information she wants to share with me, I would absolutely
So
want
it's
to know.
up to her only.
Yeah, it's up to her. She's the only one that knows that.
That's crazy,
You know?
bro.
Up-
I honestly healthily agree to disagree.
Fair.
That's honestly the best way I could put it. Because like that to me is like a grand piece of information. Like just to sum up my way of thinking about it, and I know we're getting off topic and stuff like that, but I think the parts of your history or your past that you aren't so happy or you don't look at with the same kind of regard or light are still parts of you that matter enough that shape your story to who you're going to be and who you currently are right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you're writing a book, an autobiography, you don't skip the bad parts because they're embarrassing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, especially towards like in a marriage when you're having a union that close, you kind of are sharing your life story with somebody. So you need to include the good with the bad so that we can understand where you're headed, who you are, and it's all encompassing, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like that's where you have to be a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more mature to realize that this person sees the best for you and wants the best for you and won't treat you beneath what you actually are because of your past. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to get to a point now where like in this scenario right now where they're getting a divorce because she wasn't able to have that conversation. You want your marriage to be something that is not going to break because of one thing, especially something that you have control over. You know what I mean? So what you're saying, I do agree that it's up to the person at the end of the day, but I think that it's
Go
a
ahead.
responsibility for a healthy marriage to be, open communication, good and bad. That's just my point.
Okay. Fair.
I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough.
Any last remarks?
Yeah. There's a quote that was going around. I don't know who said it, but it was around the Cardi B Offset thing, when Offset kept on cheating on Cardi B, and it became a whole spectacle. People kept on saying women don't want to be embarrassed, So you're allowing some information to confront your partner. It could, let's say it didn't happen in a laptop. Let's say it happened on streets. Some guy recognized your wife and say, "Hey, yo," saying something, expecting you to already be aware of it. So do you want that your partner being confronted criminal or having promiscuous past, whatever the information is? Would you prefer your partner to be confronted something in public or in the privacy that he's already aware and already dealt with emotionally?
I don't have a fragile masculinity, fam. I'm cool. If I'm sure my wife was with
Wait,
somebody.
hold on. Let's be respectful here. We don't have fragile masculinity.
I never said you did.
I mean,
You're phrasing.
That's how it's being framed. Let's be
phrasing.
But yo, if you
let's rephrase that.
no, I'm not rephrasing.
I'm saying
not rephrasing.
just
But
out of
if-
respect for
if-
we're
if-
having a
if-
conversation. So just out of respect for everybody in the room.
No. I'm not
I'm just saying.
I'm not saying it directly to
You're
you
saying
guys.
opposing
I'm saying
opinion is
the
fragile.
scenario that Mukhtar was talking about. That's what I'm to refer. I'm not talking to you
Okay,
individually.
that's all I need to make.
Okay?
That's all I need to
Having
make.
said that, let me go back to what I was saying.
Go ahead.
I don't, in that situation, I don't have a fragile masculinity about me. With thinking like just because my partner's ex came to me and tried to rough me up in terms of I was with that person, that
I'm
wouldn't
not saying
bother.
ex. It wouldn't
That
have to
wouldn't.
be
But
ex.
I'm telling you what I'm. One sec. I'm saying if somebody was to try to confront me with her past, that isn't something that would bother me because I understand people come with a story. Nobody's perfect. I don't expect my wife to be squeaky clean. It's not Mr. Clean Up in here. You feel me? Everybody comes from something that they might not be so confident to have, or they didn't want to go through that, or they did go through that, and at that time it was okay for them. I'm not out here judging people for a version of themselves that they got better for. You feel me? So back to the point that you were making, if that scenario was to happen out in the street or some guy came up to me, I'm going to whatever that I was doing, buying an iced coffee, casual day, fam. I don't feel no type of way. To the point where I feel like you guys are putting, now I'm referring to you guys. Okay, now, just so we're clear.
Okay.
I feel like you guys are putting a lot of weight to somebody who was doing something in the past that they clearly are ashamed of because they didn't tell me, whatever reason. So I'm not going to be out here judging somebody for a version of themselves that they bettered themselves for. And for all I know, they already went through all the precautions to feel better in terms of talking to God, going to therapy, doing whatever they need to do. And I'm not going to add salt on the wound to be like, that's you. That's what you're doing. Because if the version of you is who I fell in love with, having something you said earlier is because you went through those stuff I don't need to be privy to. I just love you for who you are right now, And my masculinity isn't so fragile for me to be like, every guy touched you in this world, so I'm not going to continue this. That's not me.
Okay.
You feel me? And if we pray to God for forgiveness, why are we so limited to not provide that same thing to others? That's how I think. I'm not going to be out here calling you all the names under the sun when you probably went through that whole healing package to get better for yourself. I like who you are now. Let's continue.
I don't know why you have to. I don't know why it has to be framed. Not specifically to you. I don't know why it has to be framed as a negative thing, though. This could be a positive conversation.
But that's not privy for me to know.
No, I'm saying conversation.
That's not a positive conversation.
Why can't it be?
That's not positive.
Why can't it be?
Because there's a lot of men in that situation that would feel some type of way.
What are you talking about?
You're talking about being open about your past.
Yeah.
Necessarily, that's not going to be a positive conversation
Why?
because a lot of men are going to be like, what? You dirty? You don't think it's going to be like that?
Not my wife. No.
I said a lot of men. I didn't specify you.
I'm just saying.
Can we or can we not agree that a lot of men will feel some type of way based off of what you know?
100% they would.
So would that necessarily be a good conversation to have?
It's an important conversation to have for the benefit of the future of the marriage. That's my point.
Subjective. I feel like I can have a great marriage without knowing my wife's past history.
But do you think you can have a point in your marriage or like a hiccup in your marriage if you find out something?
Yeah, but I told you, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss.
I just personally think that marriages should be.
Fam, I'm not squeaky clean. You're not squeaky clean. You're not squeaky clean.
but
We all come with a past.
But I'm 100% okay with opening up and being vulnerable about my past to my spouse. 100%. No, there's nothing about me that's a closed book. Nothing, especially to my spouse. To you, yeah, 100%. I don't want you knowing shit.
Hey, yo.
I don't want you knowing shit. But to my spouse, let it rock, bro. That's my wife, man.
Fair.
At the end of the
Okay.
day, I just feel like it's just a healthier marriage if we have everything on the table.
Gotcha.
Everything.
I respect that.
But we can agree to disagree on it.
Okay.
But yo, comments, guys. Who is right? Who is wrong? There's always a villain here. Let me know if I am. We'll see you next time.